made it back to the championship ring.
Hey everyone, welcome back in for another week of Headers to Headphones. Today we are in my shop. They got the high school rodeo over at our Tough Shed studio, so we decided we're going to come over here and stay out of the commotion. We got a pretty cool episode today. We're going to talk a little bit of tree mountain. Nate's going to cover that. He was there and right in the action. And then we are going to head over and visit with Derrick Baymiller from HardNose Derby Podcast. So we're going to get going. So Nate, I heard that Tree Mountain was a good show.
Yeah, it was. It was like I was telling Emily at the end of the night. I said that's probably one of the best shows I've watched in 5 years all around.
That's really awesome because it's a third-year show.
Yeah.
It's an 80s or newer in a new venue.
Well, not only that, it was started from the ground up.
Yeah.
So it was non-existent before those guys started it.
Which is awesome because the thing I like about it is you got Derby drivers putting on the show. It shows you that the Derby drivers know what the drivers want, what they like.
They've got their finger on the pulse.
Yeah, and they're definitely putting the effort in to take care of the drivers like a driver wants to be taken care of. So
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
There were 40, I want to say 48 cars is what the last I heard from Tripler on the 80s wire. And then there were 3 80s motor swaps.
So 45 and 3 is what I read.
And then for the youth, there were 4 cars. And the kid we talk about every single week, it seems like, was there. He didn't win this time. He took second. He almost had it won. And that kid's Braxton Anderson, for those of you that don't know. But yeah, there were 4 cars in that. Braxton took second. I'm not 100% certain on the first place kid's name, but it was his first Derby. He ran a Mopar with a slant 6 in it.
Love it. That's awesome. Like anytime you are new to the sport, when you can get a taste of that victory lane, it hopefully will give him a little bit more ambition to
Gives you a little
drive to keep the going and keep the sport going.
Well, and I don't know if that kid follows Derby, but to know that like he kind of got one up over the king of the youth right now, that's a great feeling, no matter how it happened.
Yeah. So the crowd wasn't fully sold out, but I anticipate if this Derby continues to keep building,
that it's going
to continue to grow, and hopefully, if we can get those bleachers sold out soon, guys, they're going to have some more prize money, and they're going to be able to turn the show into a bigger, better show.
Yeah.
Keep supporting it, keep helping it grow.
Each year, it's grown substantially from the years prior. So I would say if it's not next year, it'll be the following year that place is sold out.
Well, and it sounds like the drivers are doing their part.
Yep, they are.
So hats off to the drivers, because without the drivers, then you don't have a show.
I want to say personally, from being a spectator, not just there taking photos, thank you to the drivers that you guys went out and put on one hell of a show, and it's memorable in my brain. Like, it's going to be a hard Derby to beat for Derby of the Year, in my opinion.
I had a whole list of honeydews. I mean, I started out cleaning my shop that day. I had to run around, do some errands for work. I had to get my yard in order. I'm headed out of town doing a job for 5 or 6 weeks, so I had a lot on my plate. But I'm at home working in the yard. I get a text from Nate. There's 48 wire cars here. And about an hour later, Heat 1 was awesome.
It was. It was a knockdown drag out, and it was great. And somehow they always have a limo at that show.
Yeah. And then after the show's over, I keep reading about the shark car.
Yep.
And everyone said the shark car just tore it up.
Holy shit. Like, in his heat, that kid had to have been doing 30 miles an hour the whole time, pegged. Freaking nose of the car is standing up. 3/4 of the way through the heat, he lost his front bumper. Both back tires are just flapping and throwing dirt everywhere because they're flat. And he gets out with a smile on his face because he knew he just jumped some shit. So for that young man's name is Garrett Lloyd, and you are our driver of the week. So I'm in the process of designing driver of the week shirt for our podcast, and you are the number 2 recipient of one.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3. Oh
Technically,
yeah, that's right.
Number 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5.
But awesome. Congrats, man. I love hearing about that.
And he was the overall mad dog for that whole show.
Which is awesome. I mean, I heard like literally everything I read was the shark car was awesome. The shark car was awesome. I read somewhere that somebody had videoed it and was going to put it up. I'm hoping to find the video so I can
R7 Motorsports on YouTube.
Is it already active?
So I know he has his GoPro footage up there, but the rest of the footage I believe is still to come.
Cool. I'm excited to see that. Congratulations to him. Who else were our winners on the show?
So if I mess these names up, I apologize because I've never pronounced them. You have in first place, you have Austin Aussie Schilling. You have second and third place tied. You had Matt Murky and Justin Schilling. And then fourth place, you had Rowdy Burns. Fifth place, you had Zeb Hansen. As we already talked about, Garrett Lloyd was our mad dog. But yeah, those guys, they put on one hell of a show. They did not disappoint.
That's awesome. I mean, I kind of have, FOMO now that I didn't go.
Yeah.
Nate said it was one of the best shows in 5 years, and those are the shows you want to be at. Small county fair that just everyone's out there shredding.
Yep. I'm not trying to talk shit on any other derby, but just all around that whole show, it was nasty. It was mean. I would say the only thing that would make it like maybe not an A+ show is only having the 3 motor swap heats or motor swap cars, just because they took one car out and then just did circles the rest of the time, and kind of rubbed paint a little bit, and then parked nose to nose and shut it off and said they weren't going anymore.
Yeah, but I mean,
What else are you supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, well, you're supposed to put on a show, let's be honest. But as this show grows, they'll get more prize money. They'll be able to throw a couple better filler heats at it, and a iron wire, maybe a weld down the road. But
yeah,
I mean, right now we're producing 45 wire cars.
Well, and like I was telling you, there was a lot of drivers there. I had never heard their name. I know them now.
Yeah. But that's great. That's what I'm saying. 45 wire cars. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Don't change that.
Yeah.
But if they get some more money, they could add in, an old wire heater mini cars. I mean, mini cars are, they could take
they're the bee's knees up in northern Utah.
They could take the wired mini car leftovers from Maymania and then continue on that. I think that's a great idea for them moving forward.
Yeah.
But, sounds like a great show.
Yeah.
With 45 wire cars, there should be some leftovers. Hopefully these guys are headed out to Eagle Mountain this weekend. They could use some more cars. The car count's not extremely high, but a few more cars over there get you a chance to win some money.
I did tell anybody that would listen to me about Eagle Mountain next week, trying to give you some publicity, Nick.
And I mean, it's $5,000 to win the 80s wire class now. So get those cars fixed, gentlemen. Get it over there, Eagle Mountain. It's going to be a good time.
You think this is a good time to wrap up talking about Utah and kind of jump into talking to Derrick?
Yeah, Derrick's he's on the other line waiting to get in. So, guys, great job here in Utah, putting on one hell of a heat. We got Derrick coming on, so we're gonna
get you some popcorn and a Dr. Pepper, and stay tuned because this is gonna get fun. Well, we've got somebody in here to talk Border Wars. He was there watching all the videos. It seemed pretty damn good. What were your thoughts, Derrick?
Dude, Border Wars. The show is just, it's crazy. It's like, nothing else that I've ever witnessed, anything like that when you're doing a team setting for your state, but individual at the same time. That plays a lot into your game plan of, you want to help your buddies and get through the end, but you want to be the last one running. And then you have to junk your buddies at the end to win it.
I guess I never thought of that part about it.
I have no problem junking my buddies to win. But I would much rather see my buddies win than someone else all day long.
Yeah.
Correct. So when it's 18 drivers per state, something that has changed this year, which I know you guys have done your research a little bit. So you've got, say Nate's got a team and he chooses Brad and TJ McPhee. That's your three that you're going to be running with for your heat. But then once it gets to the feature, it's still your heat, but you can hit your teammate to restart your clock. Um, you can run with your teammate all the way down to the end, but like I said, it's when it's go time, that's the individual on that end.
See, but that's still pretty rewarding, in my opinion. I mean, you get down to first and second, who gives a shit who wins?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The top one
yeah.
just go junk each other.
$8,000 to win. I think 4,000 for second. I think it was $2,000 for third. And then the winning state gets $1,000 a piece.
And that included the top driver, right? So
So like Caden Eddy won it.
yeah.
It was $8,000 check to win, and then he got $1,000 for his participation on the Missouri side.
Hell yeah.
So let me get this straight. So 18 people on the team, but you choose 3 people that you're going to run a heat with.
Yes.
And then of the 18, so basically they create 6 heats and 3
Yep.
guys, 3 guys.
What they used to do last year was they would just draw out of a bucket. They'd have 18 Missouri drivers, 18 Iowa, 18 Nebraska, 18 Minnesota, and they would draw 3 for Team Missouri. They draw 3 for Minnesota, 3 for Nebraska, 3 for Iowa, 3 for Illinois. Live in front of everybody, they went out and got it on. No time for politicking, and then they would only take 3. This year, since they lost a few states, what they did is change the rule to let you pick your own team that you were going to run with. That wasn't luck of the draw that way. It's luck of the draw who you run against, what heat. So what they did is they took 2 Missouri teams, 2 Minnesota teams, 2 Iowa teams, and that was in one heat. And they were taking 6. They did that for that one, the second, and then the third one.
Yeah.
So that filled a lot of time and a lot of junk made.
What the bits and pieces, I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I was working a bunch throughout the weekend, getting ready to start a big project. But I watched bits and pieces here and there. From the little I watched, it looked like the action was pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Every video I've seen's looked good.
Yeah, the compacts, where you guys call them mini cars.
Yeah.
The compacts is kind of it's not a build that you would see in Blizzard Bash or Gold Rush or something like that. But it's not a bone stock just to beat the windows out of it. You get a little bumper bracket, you get a few plates, you can do some tidy stuff there. But them guys, we've always talked, those guys are full tilt retarded. And when you're putting pride on the line, that changes their outlook a little bit.
Yeah.
Now they had the two-man stock,
Yeah.
I would say, but that's kind of like your 80s wire out there.
Yeah.
No, that's more like your old iron wire. They get a little bit to do, and you get some guys out there that are just wide open, don't care, not there to make friends. And then you've got some real calm, cool, calculating cats that are there to, for the end of it. Action Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There was never a dull moment on the track, even with the youth kids. I think it would be awesome if you guys could bring a team.
Trust me, not only have his wheels been turning, I went to Tremont this weekend and I heard other people talking about it.
Yeah, I talked to Cody Pete, and I told him, I said the hardest part about getting a team from the West out there, especially Utah, is the guys just have it so good in Utah with like the payouts. It's like they're traveling 15 plus hours, spending all that time and money, traveling expenses, and they're winning half the money. So if they want to come out there, it needs to be guys that are like, all right, we're not really coming for the money. We're coming for the experience. And like you already mentioned, pride, basically. Like, hey, we're here to throw our hat in the ring. and see if what we can do.
Yeah.
And myself, like I've been driving for 23 years. I lost count on how many times I've driven like singles. And to me, like traveling out and about to another state and driving in something like this to me that's more rewarding than just going to a show around here because I've done all this.
Yeah.
And this is completely different. Like I didn't even know about this concept until about 6 to 8 weeks ago.
Yeah, when Cody messaged us, Brad's like, "What?"
And I'm like, it's super intriguing to me. Like I love that it's a team show, but I love that it's an individual. And can you speak on how like the track is and then how the environment around the track is? What kind of feel is that?
2 years ago, this thing used to run in Stanton, Nebraska. The track was very long but very narrow. They kind of outgrew that facility. Dallas County Fairgrounds is huge, dudes. I mean, it's like I'm not gonna say State Fair big, but it's big. The track is an actual figure eight racetrack that it's banked on both ends, and the entire center is the track. So the track is hard packed. It is worked every night, just as they would like a racetrack. They water it, they leave it open, they water it again, then they roll it, and you are flat moving. The stands, you're right on top of the track. You can come and go as you please. You can go across if you've got a pit pass. I mean, there's camping right there. There's vendors right there. They have all the area that they would ever need for a show to be there or even bigger if they decided to ever try to make it bigger. There's plenty of room.
Is the environment kind of like a fun hangout party environment, or is it kind of like people are there to win? Are people there to win? Like, what kind of environment's there? Like, if a team came out from the West, like, are they getting a full blown like party experience, or is it kind of like super competitive? Like, people are just working on their cars and staying with their groups.
Well, one thing that they actually changed this year, they added another day to it. So last year it was just a Friday and a Saturday. So when you run your heat on Friday, you had, if you didn't make the straight to the main, you had the consi the next day at 1 o'clock. So everybody is staying up all night long to work on their cars. This year they ran the heats on Thursday. Friday, if you made it to the feature, you didn't have to worry about a consi. So you could have just worked on your car all day Friday. But you know as well as me, as a Derby driver, you're going to use every second that you could possibly take. So these guys were still, working till 3, 4 in the morning instead of all day.
Loose.
Correct. So they would, there's guys sucking down Jello shots and slamming beers. And the opportunity to party is there. Is it a gold rush type? No, it's not quite like that, but it's still a party.
That to me, like when I've been to Blizzard Bash and Gold Rush, like when I'm not driving, it's a completely different feel than when I am driving. When I'm there driving, I'm there to compete. I've just spent all this time and money prepping to build this car. Like I drove 12 to 16 hours to get there. I'm kind of locked in on working on the car, going to sleep so I can get up in the morning, work on the car. But when I'm there just to watch, like kind of there to party, you know what I mean? Have a good time, go to bed late, sleep in.
Did you not party at Gold Rush when you drove?
I think after we're out.
Oh, I was gonna say because I'm pretty sure I heard a story about somebody getting kicked out of a bar.
That was yeah. That was after we were out.
Well, that's the thing that I've talked so much. Anytime I've ever been to Blizzard Bash, I was there working. So, where all my other guys are getting hammered and going to this titty bar and whatnot, I'm trying to go to the hotel at 4 in the morning,
Go to
take
sleep.
a shower, be up by 8, because I knew I had to get the car out. I knew I had to start working on it, start prepping tools and everything else, while the other guys are come over feeling like a bag of dog shit.
I've been on both sides of that.
Because I think you were on one of those sides at Gold Rush when I saw you this past year.
Probably because I wasn't working on cars.
I said, Brad, what'd you do last night? Oh, we went out drinking beer. What time did you get in? About 4. What time did you get up? 7. Brad, are you hungover?
Oh,
Still?
that was the first night, which was very bad because it made for a really long week, but that's not my fault. That's Tom Russell's fault for having kegs inside of his tent and inviting us over for check out the cars. We stepped in for 5 minutes and left like 3 hours later.
Oh, Lordy.
Always happens.
But
I believe he's going back to Gold Rush.
But I seen multiple people and they're doing keg stands, and I passed on that.
I'm out.
If I'm getting tilted upside down, I'm not drinking with it.
No, not at all.
So back to that track, is there like a lot of hotels nearby? Is it walking distance? Is it driving?
Nothing walking distance. It's roughly 13 miles straight west of Des Moines.
Okay.
So you've got Des Moines, you've got West Des Moines. The past 2 years, we've stayed in West Des Moines around Clive area. I don't know exactly, but it's 13 minutes there. But they've got a lot of Airbnbs that a lot of the guys got right there in Adele. I'm a wedge ass, so I don't try to spend. I figured I'm just gonna take a shower and sleep. That's the only thing I'm gonna do there. So I try to go. I'll drive an extra 10 minutes before I spend an extra 500.
That makes sense.
What is the environment there, like the surroundings like? Because I've only been to Iowa once, and literally all I seen was corn, like corn, corn, and more corn. Like my hotel was in the middle of a corn patch.
It is. I mean, I'm gonna guess Des Moines probably 25,000 people. Maybe could be more, 25 to 50. It's very not cornfield-esque.
Okay. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm just gonna drop this on you because it's useless information I'd like to pass on to the listeners. But
Oh, Jesus.
did you know that Iowa produces more corn than any other country in the world? I
yes.
didn't either, but Google that shit.
What kind of corn?
It's like
Indiana,
corn they use for
Indiana
fuel.
Oh,
too.
Facebook corn.
Corn.
Yeah, that's the code they use for something else now.
I'm
was
not
number-
into weird shit like Nate people, so I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know. So,
No.
but I was just curious. So it's more like actually like a city.
It is.
And
It is.
a little more like metropolitan, not rural Iowa, because I was in rural Iowa.
So how would you say the crowd was? Big
They
crowd
they were a little lacking this year, but after the debacle that happened last year, which is anybody ever pays attention to sport of demolition derby, they knew that Nebraska played a game. There was actually people in the crowd throwing beer cans at these guys while they were pulling off the track. So really, they probably only had about half of what they had the year before. If I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the crowd on the general admission side.
Yeah.
Their bleachers are, I mean, they're not like your old bleachers, where everything goes up.
Yeah.
These are just, I'd say 10, 12 row bleachers, but they are the length of the figure 8 track.
Yeah.
There's probably half, but there's twice that many in the pits or standing on the catwalk or standing on the track edge.
Yeah.
But the show is wide open, dudes. Wide open.
Like I said, every clip that I saw, like everybody was standing on it. Like Rob was not shitting when he said that show is fast paced, it hits hard. Like, and if you don't, he's gonna go out there and chew your ass.
Like we witnessed in Gold Rush this past year. I mean, those mod heats were stupid. Brad, you could attest to that. You were standing right there on the wall. and you would think that the stock class was going to back it down a little bit, and then they didn't.
No.
It's like they had something to prove. Um, so they threw their balls over their shoulder or their purses over their shoulder and sent them from one end to the other nonstop. And that a lot of guys want to sit there and weigh in on Bristol, or they want to sit there and weigh in on Heber or Gold Rush, but them are wide open.
See, that's
And
the
as a
type of derby I want to go to.
Awesome for us to watch.
Yeah. Why do you feel like everyone was driving like that? Do you feel like it was for pride? Did they have like just really good prizes and payouts for that? Like, what's your theory behind that? Is that common in that area?
Oh, yeah. It is common. A couple years ago, Illinois had a team, and it had Austin Johnson on it. It had Jerry Lyerly on it. And them guys, Brock and Tyler Hill, those guys were just stupid wide open. The next year at Stanton, it was really good. That's when Minnesota started really coming down and bringing some heat.
Yeah.
Clingers, those dudes are wide open. And I mean, you got Bryce and Randy Lanou. That's one thing. And then Colton Newhofflin starts showing up. And anybody who's ever watched Ski Extreme at Blizzard Bash, they know Colton. Team Octane now as well.
Oh,
And these dudes are just on the hammer, and they're just laying it down. So I think it's one of those things, you're the hammer or the nail.
Yeah.
And you kind of justify how the car bends if you're the hammer more than you are so the nail.
I feel like that's why there's such just I don't know if I feel like the nation in general over the last 5 to 6, 7 years have really started to the team shows are very attractive.
Yes.
And I think people are kind of latching onto those because kind of back to what I said a little bit earlier, like I've driven so many single shows. I want to drive the team show. So as a driver, it's super fun to drive these different things. It's just a different drive style. But as someone watching from the bleachers, like 2-man team shows, they're cool, but whatever, 3, whatever. When you get into the 4-man, like, and start doing those head to heads,
That's the thing I like about the 4 versus 4 is
it
it's
is
one-on-one.
straight up action because yeah, when you take the politics out of it, like when you do away from the 5-team features like Blizzard Bash was doing, and you just do those straight up head to heads, I feel like exactly what you just said, Derek. It's either be the hammer or be the nail.
Yep.
And everyone would much rather be the hammer than the nail.
100%.
Now, I am going to throw a little opinion out here. Here's my take on this. Me being in the position I am, I had never watched Kings of Crash until probably 2 years ago. Just, word of mouth and everything. But about 6 or 7 years ago, that is when the world started talking about Utah. My bucket list show was Heber. I mean, I've made that clear to 64 different countries. That was my bucket list show to go watch. I did get to go to Utah. I've been there a couple times. It's always been for the state fair. But when you get, TJ, Brad, yourself, kind of the old school guys, and you're bringing in this new generation with Jared Johnson, Jackson Johnson, Parker Lazenby, and then you're getting guys like Tom Russell that's coming down from Idaho. You're getting Marty Millions guys coming down from Wyoming. You guys are in kind of what I would say is centralated hub of dudes who don't give two shits what they take home.
Yeah.
As long as they can get it on the trailer somehow and get it back to the house.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some guys that still like want to win, and like the funny thing is around here that the 2 guys just I have in my mind that want to win, it ain't even about the money for them. It's just they want to win.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like me and Nate's talked about this. I mean, we used to be the biggest shit talkers on like sandbaggers. Like we hated them.
100%.
Like I would be like, I'd rather these guys not even come. But like the more I've got into the sport, like the older I am, obviously too, and then obviously becoming a promoter too,
Yeah.
your mind changes. And if a guy wants to build a badass car and drag it from Ohio and sit out there and bump and grind in the middle, and nobody wants to hit him, I don't like it. But guess
No.
what? I'm not going to say a bad word about him. I'm going to congratulate him just like I would the guy that won Mad Dog. Like
Yep.
because anyone on the track can take them out.
100%. And that I know, like I can't remember. Somebody was shit talking Clay one year, and Clay's like, "Build a car and come stop me."
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to. If you don't want to watch that shit, build a car and put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
And I've told you, I've told Justin, I've told everybody that if I get my ass kicked by a sandbagger and they're turning it up and I've made them turn it up, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, I mean, we're only 3 shows into the season here in Utah, and Nate just went to Tremont, and he told me like everyone drove balls to the walls.
That was old school type of driving.
And that's the kind of show that Ryan and I have been trying to produce in Utah, over in Heber, because that's what the crowd wants.
Yep.
And we've talked about it. As long as the bleachers are full, we can keep paying these big payouts. And when
Yep.
shows like that, we can keep getting more money. We'll figure out ways to build on it.
Mhm.
When you got good action like that, I mean, I'm very optimistic that Heber is going to be just action packed from start to finish. I mean, last year I was so impressed with our youth heat and our powder puff, and like the powder puff didn't even exist 3 years ago, and it was so the first 2 years
Yeah,
we brought it back, but that last year I thought was great.
Yeah, it was action. That one was action packed because I remember telling Brindley, I'm like, "Oh yeah, last year it wasn't that bad," and she got in that heat, and I'm like, "Oh, she's gonna be pissed because I lied to her."
But I just feel like that's the kind of show that we've pushed Heber to be, is like we want to see you on the gas pedal, but you know what? Like there's a couple guys that come from, the land above that
Mhm.
I don't feel like they drive that hard, but I also don't feel like they sandbag.
No.
I feel like they just get in the mix, and I feel like they do what they got to do. And I've been very pleased with that style of driving
100%.
because they're not just sitting in the corner. They're not, slamming on the brakes.
No, and they're not just rolling up to you, tapping you, and
Yeah.
staying in the middle and not doing
So
shit.
I feel like I've watched these guys drive many places, and I feel like they up their tempo here too.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
agree with that.
sit there watching all these shows, whether it's Heber or Salt Lake City. A lot of guys ask me, how fast is it actually out there in person? I was like, guys, what you think, since they're running on sand? I was like, you think they're not going that fast when you're watching it on video, but I promise you they are hauling all the ass.
So let me ask you this. You've been to the state fair twice now, right? Is it twice or 3 times?
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot.
It's 2 or 3.
Twice.
So
Twice.
in your opinion, that's a fast-paced show, right? From
Mhm.
what you watched?
In person.
Yes.
I didn't watch it. I've only seen Heber on video.
So I think I know where Nate's going, and I'm going to say it for him. I went last year, and I thought it was so boring. I packed my kids up and I left because I
Well,
didn't.
how are you going to do that this year? You got a spot.
I
Yes, he
know,
does.
but I'm just not going to sit out in the middle and do the tidal wave.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt it was just a tidal wave. Like watching it just back and forth. They stopped it for someone getting injured. It was almost over anyways. My kids wanted to go home, and I was like, "Let's go." But like, there's shows where like I'm gonna make my kids sit through the rain. I don't give a shit if they're
Yeah.
action packed. I'm not leaving. But that one, that was still. I'm not saying it was a bad show,
No,
but
it wasn't.
that just was not Utah-esque.
No. That got more pushed to like everybody wanted to win in that freaking
Yeah, I mean,
heat, which is fine.
there was
Like,
a lot of good drivers. There was a good money on the line.
and I wouldn't say it was like bagging. It was just very drawn out and methodical driving.
Yeah, I would say it was 50-50.
Yeah.
There were some guys laying it down.
Yeah.
Sam
Or-
Golan, he was going so fast he broke the K rail in half. I don't know if you remember that.
So
Who?
okay. If
Sam
if you
Gold.
want to know who Sam Golan is, get on All For Him Racing. Watch Old Iron Heat 1 in Heber. He's the
Okay.
guy doing about Mach 90 that freaking bells into the freaking barricade.
Shatters it.
Then he drives into
Oh, was
state.
it last year?
Yes,
Yes.
in Heber, and then he turned
I
around and
watched
did the
it.
same thing at the state fair.
And
Hit the K-rail again in the same car, so he must not have brakes.
I told Sam before he went into that heat in the state fair, I said, stay the hell away from the K-rail. And
Those
then
things
the
don't
first thing he
budge.
does is drives over it, and I just died laughing.
But when he hits it, it shatters the K-rail. He's
Oh,
hitting
yeah.
it at doing 30 miles an hour.
I would hate to be a car and get hit by him.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I mean, I've been hit by him, and it sucks, but
Sorry, Sam. We're just picking on you a little bit.
But I mean, we touched on Heber a little bit, Derek. It was your bucket list derby. I have a feeling we're going to see you out here this year.
That is the plan. I've got, like I said, doing what we do. We've got a lot of buddies that are in contact with us, whether it's via text or Snapchat or messages and whatever, and they all kind of said, are you coming out?
Yep.
They always ask, are you guys coming out? I can never speak for my counterpart because he's kind of like a Brad schedule. He's a, road construction and he's a foreman. So it's hard for me to try to plan anything. Just like Border Wars last weekend. I didn't know he was going until I get a phone call. I was about 10 minutes away from the track and he said, hey, I'm getting ready to leave Kansas City. I'm going to go home and I'm going to grab my truck. And then he called me again. He's like, okay, I'm still in Kansas City. I'll just come up in the morning. So he actually did come up in the morning, left early the next day, went home, spent time with the, wife and kids and everything that we still got to do.
So what you're saying is I need to start texting him now that I've got you on board.
Possibility.
I'll start texting him and making Justin text him.
There was a team show about roughly an hour from us. It was a 3-man, like a bone stock team show, and that was kind of right up his alley. And he had talked about running it. I don't know if that's still in the realm of possibilities yet. But
Well, I'll just tell him what Justin's been saying, and it's that Justin doesn't know if he's going to drive his car. His car will be built and at the arena, but he feels like he might let somebody drive, and that somebody could be you, it could be Steven, it could be Joe Schmo sitting up in the stands.
he told me that last year.
He's serious.
Justin talks a lot. You just gotta call him out, put him on the spot.
When you get him to talk.
As soon as you get the
Yeah,
as soon as you get the plane ticket spot, take a picture, send to him, and say, "All right, Justin, just make sure my seat's nice and tight, my seatbelt's ready to go, and I'm ready to run."
I don't think I could even get in his car, that long-legged bastard.
Yeah, he's sitting in the back seat.
Yeah, I have short legs.
So Derek, if you come out to Heber, like it's a different derby. It's not like Gold Rush. It's not like Bristol. It's not this high. I don't even know, like this big stage, competitive, like locked in. It is very competitive, but it is like a county fair feel. Like
Yeah.
I'm talking like it is just people aren't the team show guys will probably and some of the singles well, but everyone else is there to have fun.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it's going to be like that's why I love it so much is because you don't have the strategic driving as much as you do like the balls, the walls. Like everyone wants to win all the time, but
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're going to lay the smack down while they're trying to do it.
Well, and I've peeked at the drivers list, and it's a good one. I'll just put it at that. There's some people that
Okay.
are going to stand on it.
So I'm going to actually put Brad on the spot.
Let's do it.
Uh-oh.
This year, you did the team show. You did 18 captains,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
What's the possibility next year of going to 16? And I'm kind of trying to get some guys from over this direction that are really jazzed about wanting to go jump some shit in Utah.
So the short answer is that's probably not going to happen. And I'll give you kind of the reasons why. We really tried to do that this year. Like, we really tried to do it this year. We met with our facilities team. so Ryan and I are the promoters, but we are contracted by Wasatch County Fair. So
Correct.
so technically it's their show. They're just paying us to put the show on.
Mm-hmm.
They give us full support on the back end. We sat down with them. Um, they're still nervous about going to the 3-day show, which was their idea. They're still nervous about that with making sure it sells out, making sure they have enough staff. These guys have one of the biggest rodeos in the nation. I mean, we're probably like top 30 rodeos in the nation. That is 1 week after our derby. They've got to
Oh,
flip that whole entire facility in to get ready for that rodeo. Plus, it's our fair day, so all of our indoor barns, like where we do our inspection, we literally are in there teching cars on Saturday. That thing is jammed full of sheeps and pigs by Monday night. I mean, it is the facility flips that quick, and so they're really trying to figure out what they can handle. We've talked about it. We talked about it in depth a lot. It actually it created some really bad situations for Ryan and I to work through because we were really hoping for that 16 teams. We had a lot of teams that should have been in. One person in particular that should have had a spot that just the way everything worked out, it just didn't happen.
mhm.
Um, we would love to see that happen, but I just don't see it happening next year either. Could it happen 5 years from now? Yeah. Could it happen next year? It could, but I would say if we did it, we'd have to get creative. It might have to have like you might have to run twice in one day, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of running, like once a day, you might have to run in the morning and then turn around and run again that evening.
Yeah. I mean, because here's what I have noticed that you said. I mean, because I've been to your all's facility. I came and visited last September.
Yeah.
You know, the facility is amazing as well. But I have never, to my knowledge, I have never seen since I've been even watching anything in Utah that they don't sell out. So I know Wasatch is freaking out. It's going to a Thursday, Friday, Saturday show, and they're going to sell out. They might not have enough workers, but they're going to sell it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll know pretty well here in a week.
Don't even. I was gonna say. Oh yeah, tickets go on sale. I was gonna say, don't even say the Derby day because I'll hit you.
No, like so tickets go on sale Monday, June 9th, which they did a pre-sale this year because like a bunch of the robots have been buying up tickets. I don't know if you know what that they're doing, but they're going on. They're selling these seats for $80 a seat,
And people are buying them.
people are going on. They're buying them, and it says that your seats are reserved but not guaranteed. But then they get this big list, and then the day they go on sale, they send these robots in to fulfill those orders. They don't give a shit where the seats are. They just fulfill the orders and then charge these people $80 for a $25 or a $30 seat. And so, in hence of trying to kind of do away with that, and it was creating it to where like the local people couldn't even get a ticket. And the county council, their whole vision is community first, and then we'll bring in the surrounding people into the event. But they did an in-person ticket sale last week, and you could go in and buy seats. Saturday, I think it's only got like 200 seats left. I think Friday's at like 75% sold out, and I think that Thursday's only at like 40 or 50%. So
Wait, just wait.
yeah, well,
Oh, yeah.
that's what we're hoping for. Hopefully, it works. Um, the other thing is, like we've assembled a staff. When we started 3 years ago, we assembled a staff, and we've had very, very few changeovers. We've only had like 3 or 4 key guys that either decided they wanted to go a different route. Like this year we had 3 guys on the berm last year that'll actually be in cars this year. So we'll have some turnover there. Next year we might even have one of our main guys leaving Tech to go run on a team. So there might be some big changes for next year. So we're just trying to kind of work through everything one day at a time. We tried real hard for that 16 team deal this year because, I mean, we had some teams out of California and Washington that wanted to come. We had some guys out of Minnesota, a team out of Nebraska. I'm pretty confident we would have filled 16 slots.
And to make you feel a little bit better, this time last year when they secretly were talking about the 3-day event, Ryan wanted to turn it to a team show. Brad did not. Brad didn't think it was going to turn into a team show. So it could happen.
Yeah,
you just never know.
I just didn't know. I just didn't think we could pull it off. And when you have I'm kind of the guy that's like, I love trying new things and everything, but if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Correct.
And I felt like we had a really good thing going, but and no discredit to the singles weld guys. I'm not trying to take anything away from them at all, but like the most compliments we get from the community is the wire classes. They love them. They love the old iron wire. They love anything that's tied to the community. And honestly, you get more of the locals driving the wire classes. I mean, we've only got, I think, 6 drivers really left in Heber / Wasatch County driving the heavy weld. And then the rest of those guys are, throughout Utah or surrounding states coming in for that weld class. They love that stuff too. I mean, me and Nate's talked about it 100 times. Like the weld cars are cool because they bend, but there's just something about 15 cars on the track, all at 6,000 RPMs.
Yeah.
With these built motors, it's completely different worlds. And but anyways, yeah, kind of back what Nate was saying. We really debated hard on what we were gonna turn the show into this year. And
What you guys were, let me kind of reiterate, I guess, process what Nate was saying. So what you're thinking, or what Ryan was thinking, is to make the whole show a team show.
Not necessarily. We were still going to keep all of our singles one and dones, but Ryan's the one that really kind of made the push to go to the team show because he just loves them.
Yeah.
He loved the Blizzard Bash, the Gold Rush stuff, especially the head-to-heads. I just didn't know. I just, in my head, we were thinking 16 teams right out of the gate because I'm like, there's no way we're going to fill 16 teams here in Utah because we can't even get that many cars to come to our singles class.
Well, yeah, because last year you guys had how many cars pre-registered?
We had 55 pre-registered and 27 showed up and 25 passed tech.
But that's the difference: a single show to a team show.
Yep.
So if you sit there and go back and look at Madison, Badger Nationals, Nathan was not he was the only one that wasn't there out of you two.
Hey.
And even his wife. But look at that, 150 cars were signed up, and 74 came across the track?
Yeah, 74, 76, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
50% of their show. But if you would sit there and look, right before it or right after it, a bunch of those guys were in team shows.
Yep.
On that team show setting. So I think when you said team shows, that just kind of solidifies you're in. Now I know Wasatch is I know they took the trip to South Dakota.
Yeah.
They wanted to see it. They wanted to know what's up. Sam and I actually talked about that that weekend while it was there, and I don't think they're going to be disappointed.
No, I don't either. I really think that we obviously built the main show around the team show, but we also, everything we surrounded the team show with. So when we sat down with the fair board, they just said, we've got to sell 3 nights of tickets, and we don't want Saturday to be this phenomenal show and maybe Thursday be pretty good, but Friday we're just filling seats. They wanted to try to give the same ticket value each night.
Mm-hmm.
So we sat down and we really tried to put together a schedule that we felt like was going to be entertaining to the crowd each night. And I mean, Ryan and I, we butt heads nonstop. And that's the beautiful part about America. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Yes.
Yep.
Ryan is placing everything, that Thursday night's going to be the best show of the weekend. I
Saturday.
still feel like Saturday's going to be the best show of the weekend. But I can tell you right now, Friday's going to be really fun to watch too, because we've like I said, we had to come up with something on Friday that was different than those days. So you're still getting the team show action. Last year, I thought if it wasn't the best heat, it was top 3 heats was the youth heat.
Yeah.
We have one of those on Friday and one on Saturday.
In my opinion, the best heat of the whole weekend was the old iron wire heat too.
Yeah, and that's what to me is going to make Saturdays. But
Yeah.
on top of Derby action, Wasatch County is really stepping it up. They're working on some cool things to start the show and some cool things to end the show that we're still working on. So I'm not going to talk in depth about it too much. But if they get everything we're working on,
It's going to be awesome for the spectators.
you're not just coming to a demolition derby; you're coming to an event. It is
Yes.
going to be good from 7 o'clock to 10:30 or 10:40, whenever that show ends. It's going to start out great and it's going to end great.
Well, you and I were actually talking at, I think, Gold Rush, and it could have been before Heber last year. Your all's payout, we always said it's a county fair,
Mhm.
and you got $100,000 payout for a county fair.
Mhm.
I don't give a shit what state that's in. That's mind blowing. And now you guys have announced that it was going to be over 200,000.
Yeah. So yeah, the county put up 200,000. By the time Ryan and I got done tweaking the budget, which it still might go up a little bit more, but by the time Ryan and we built what we thought was like the right payouts for each class. We didn't even look at the total budget first. We just went through. I mean, we knew kind of where we had to be, but we built the payouts, and it came out to be like 202,750. So like Ryan and I pulled another 2,700 right out of our budget, throwing back into it, and we were still working on another heat that we're probably gonna have to pull, maybe another grand out, and then every year you get into some weird situations where like there's a tie, whatever. We don't make if there's a tie and we depending on what the situation is, like if it's a 5th place, well, we usually try to just pay 2 people rather than making them split the money.
Correct. You split the
Especially I'll be honest, we've had a couple questionable timing judgment calls where the timing system saying one thing, our officials are saying another thing, and we usually just try to make it right for both the people, because the last thing I want is somebody not coming back to my show because they got screwed out of $250 or $500.
Yeah.
So anyways, if it's a $20,000 call or a 10, we're gonna figure that shit out. But if we got to go to tape or whatever, but we just try to do the right thing, because there's no matter what you do, there's always going to be mistakes, and you can put together the best team, but your team's positioned in different places of the track. They're looking in different directions, whatever. So we just try to do what we think's the best for the situation.
And everybody's human. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're not gonna screw up, well, you're a robot, because you're gonna screw up somehow.
Yeah.
Period.
Yes.
Whether I forgot to hit the stopwatch 10 seconds too late, sorry guys, it happens.
Well, I'd be sitting here lying to you to tell you if, like, when I'm on a berm watching a team show and I'm assigned a car 91 and it's painted just like car 71, and I'm watching them and they get out in the middle and shit, and then the next thing I know, I'm like, God, that's not even my car, and I'm like, look, where the hell's my car? But
Still running.
you know what I mean? Like, they're still hitting, they're still making action, so it's not like the stopwatches are, like they're still in the action, but it's just it is
Yeah.
easy to get sidetracked in some of those heats, and especially when you got cars coming around the corner kicking dirt in your face, and you're kind of turning your head to stay out of it. So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's demolition derby. Like the people there, are going to do the best they can. I've been to some really, really shitty, poor run shows, but sometimes, like, I'm going to pick on Evanston, Wyoming a little bit. It's just an hour drive from where I'm at. So I've ran that show a handful of times. And the last time I went there was probably the shittiest grand show I've ever been to. My anxiety was through the roof. I thought someone was going to get hurt. The firemen they were all in one pile on one side of the arena with one fire extinguisher. And like they were just over there like hanging out. I'm just like, there's no fire extinguishers around there. Yeah, it was just terrible anxiety for me. But I took a step back and just said, the guy putting this on knows nothing about demolition derby. He is a volunteer firefighter trying to raise money for the volunteer fire department. He's doing the best he can do. If I wanted to change the situation, I probably needed to volunteer some time or a couple conversations.
Yep.
Because he really was probably doing the best he could do.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen shows here local to me that was a complete shit show, as everything would run and just everything top to bottom. But the Derby was phenomenal. Wide open, 9,000 RPMs. I mean, there's videos out there of every car out there just on the floor, cutting roadies, going back and just snooting people. But you just didn't want to see anybody get hurt, because that would have been a situation of getting somebody out there. Not enough fire department, not enough ambulance people for the speeds that these guys were going.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and if you went back to me, let's go back 15 years ago. I would have gave two rats' asses where the firemen were sitting or where the paramedics were. I'm out there and I'm balls to walls and I'm there to freaking rip someone's doors off. But now that I'm older and I have a wife and I have kids,
That's what I was just going to say.
And being like I wasn't even a promoter the last time with that Evanston Derby, but just being, maybe it was my first year, but being in that mindset now of like, holy shit, dude, like everyone's got to go to work on Monday. We can't have these people injured and hurt. And, I disagree with people all the time, but the last thing I want to do is see anybody get injured.
Yep.
I mean,
Well, and I think it changes too when you have a family, because then it like really puts it into perspective. Like, oh shit, like yeah, we've got to get out of here and go to work on Monday, and
yeah.
Correct.
And I've been very fortunate with my encounters in demolition derby. I think I've been in a fight, like not even a fight, but an argument twice in the arena. But when you look at how many times I've been in the arena, to only be yelling at someone back and forth twice is pretty impressive. Like most of the time, people get out and they high five and they handshake and really good sportsmanship. But even when like the two arguments I had like out on the track, I don't necessarily think it's ill will. It's just people get caught up in the moment.
oh yeah, well your adrenaline's going 1,000. Like it's at the top, man. It's like you're full throttle. Your adrenaline's running. Shit gets heated real fast.
Yeah. I've left a derby pissed off once or twice, but the next day when you wake up, man, it's like it's done and over with now. Time to move on.
Well, I was going to say, I think there was one show last year where you left pretty heated.
No pun intended.
Jectocito, cuz.
Yeah.
Old.
He was almost barbecue, bud.
Those scare me. There was one this past weekend.
I saw that.
Yeah. He's actually a buddy of mine. He builds with Jacob Prusman.
Yeah.
His Casey Beam. And, we snap and stuff. And I told him, I said, are you going to go out? Should I put the camera on you? He was like, do you remember how Prusman drove at Cornhusker Chaos in the feature? I said, yeah. He said, I'm going to emulate that. I said, okay, I'm not going to put the camera on you. He decides he's going to go ahead and turn it up. And there was just an eruption ball of flames from right under the motor. and it just engulfed the whole car. And the whole time I'm standing there, I'm going, come on, Caden, get out, get out, get out, get out. I could see a seatbelt, I could see an arm, I could see a steering wheel, and finally he jumped out. He had a fire jacket on, thank God.
Which fire jackets are a must after talking to him. He's like, I didn't even feel the flames.
I honestly, so me and Derrick Shelley, Derrick's a good friend of mine. I actually used to work for Derrick. And Derrick and I were battling it out pretty good. And because that's what we do. We battle on the track, high five when we get out. But Derrick and I are battling it out, and I'm driving, and all I know is Derrick went like this. And I'm thinking in my head, like we're about to get in a bad situation because like I'm trying to get position on him, and he's telling me back up, and I'm like, the guy's not dumb enough to know that I'm going to let him get position on me. And so I look over my shoulder to see what the hell he's talking about, and all I see is flames coming from the back seat. But I didn't even bother to see where they're coming from. I didn't take off a steering wheel. I just remember turning my head, just going like, stay calm, find the buckle, and then I just jumped out the window. Thankfully, no cars were coming. But,
Yeah.
but they legit didn't feel 1 ounce of heat.
That's
And if
flames.
you've seen the pictures, like the whole car was engulfed in flames. I didn't even feel any heat. But if it wasn't for Derrick telling me to get the hell out, I'm talking if you look at the stopwatch from the time I get out of the car till the time my car's fully engulfed, I think it's like 8 seconds. So if he wouldn't have pointed 8 seconds later, I probably would have felt some flames. So
Yeah.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I sat there and watched a car burn for 3 minutes and 17 seconds.
Holy shit.
I mean, the dude lost everything. He got out. I mean, he was quick to get out, but it's one of those. They weren't prepared. They squeezed the fire extinguisher, and it went, psh, and then it was empty. They had nothing else. So the whole time it was burning, they were trying to get a skid steer and to put dirt on it.
Oh shit.
The car was trying to start itself because the fuel pump it melted all the wires. The pump was just pumping. Finally, somebody, Gary Robinson, reached in there, ripped the wires out. They put dirt all over the car and got it. I mean, he watched $20,000 of his shit go up in flames and couldn't do nothing about it.
That's enough to make you want to cry. And
Yeah.
that's why it's crucial for these people that are putting on derbies, whether it be volunteers, the promoters, to be prepared for anything.
yeah, that's why I said when I was watching that, I was just having bad anxiety watching that other show because I'm just like hadn't even entered the track yet, but just watching other people, I'm like, man, what if somebody gets hurt? Like, what if somebody catches on fire? Years ago, like, gosh, 20 years ago, Camas, Utah, about 20 minutes from here.
Oh, shit, I know where you're going.
A guy literally he was using a beer keg for a gas tank, and the nipple broke off, and his whole car went up in flames, and they literally pulled him out of his car. He couldn't find the seatbelt or anything, but I mean, he has to wear, a bodysuit. But ever since then, my incident, like I've told everyone 100 times, like it's my own fault. I should have known better. Like it'll never happen to me again. I promise you that, and it will never happen to somebody I help ever again. But it's just I've always felt like I've done the right things to make sure that doesn't happen. But
Yeah.
it did.
Well, that's what happens when you borrow all your shit out, bud.
Yeah. Well.
Well, I know
You're good friends, all I'm saying.
Yeah, around here, a lot of guys and promoters are making fire jackets mandatory.
Yeah.
I think they absolutely have to be. Like, for instance, where was the derby where the kid had the window net on his car? And he had to crawl out the back because he couldn't get out any other way.
Winter Slam, Minnesota.
Yeah. Can you imagine like Shea Bob going up in flames in there in his basketball shorts and his cutoff?
Correct. And what if he's got nets?
Yep.
What if he put the window net on? How the hell is he going to get his big ass out?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, the same way for Justin,
Yep.
Nathan. I mean,
I
not
get that
everybody
people.
decides Derrick Johnson.
Yeah. I get people don't want to be hot and sweat their balls off, but dude, there is no derby worth winning over freaking burning up over and half the skin grass.
It baffles me that people are wearing cutoff T-shirts in there.
Yeah.
Shave Bob, Burns, all those guys, because, like, I don't know, last year I bumped my elbow and cut it, and I had a fucking freaking hoodie on.
Hey, at my age, I wear pussy pads. I got elbow pads, knee pads. Ever since Troy Tagg and the boys beat the shit out of me, when they got done with me, that was 2015. I couldn't even put my elbow on the middle console of my truck for like 3 months. And after that, I'm like, I don't care. Talk all the shit on me. You can make fun of me for wearing knee pads all you want. At least I'm gonna freaking be able to walk.
Well, and
When we started EPR, everybody knows EPR is just wide open. I mean, earplugs required. There's a reason why they're called what they're called.
just a little bit.
A little bit. I was messing with Adam one night. We were in Sturgis, Kentucky, and I said, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm getting my stuff." I said, "What do you mean you're getting your stuff?" He broke out a knee pad for his left knee for the door bar, right knee for the center bar, 2 elbow pads, and a mouthpiece.
I wear a mouthpiece.
He said, "I bit the end of my tongue off, and I'm not doing it again." He said, "That shit sucks."
Yeah, I had Garrett Nilsson TKO me in a wagon.
I don't
Flipped my helmet up like that and chipped a couple of my teeth.
see. I don't wear a neck brace. I know like a lot of people do. But
Claustrophobic.
I put a neck brace on, and it literally makes it to where I can't even like concentrate. I'm so worried about breathing.
Yep.
So I've never been a neck brace guy.
Don't look at the normal neck brace. Look at the Zamp low profiles. One of our great sponsors, he does safety stuff too.
JM
And the
race
Zamp
engines.
actually isn't like this big collar thing, like you always used to wear, great big thick bastard.
Yeah.
It actually comes way down here, but it's for your
Chin to hit.
your chin can hit, but then you've got enough room you can look all the way back, and then it stops. But a lot of guys don't even know they have them on.
I'll have to look into it because every year the older I get, the more my wife wants to bubble wrap my ass.
Well, yeah.
After last year, she didn't even want me driving anymore.
Yeah,
So-
she was pretty terrified after UTC.
It's weird. Us guys, we just brush it off. But our wives, my wife's like, "What if something happened to you? I can't take care of the family."
Yep.
Well, I mean, there's always those what ifs. I mean, you crawl back into a car, like you just said, Justin would let me in his car.
Yeah.
I know that I am the only provider for my house right now, and I have to work.
Yep.
Dumb shit can happen, and I might not do it 20 times, but that one time.
100%.
Well, I mean, look at Blizzard Bash. They had 2 injuries, and
They were freak injuries.
yeah, I mean, they necessarily not. You can't blame both of them necessarily on Demolition Derby, but they both happened at a Demolition Derby
In a car.
in the same weekend.
Well,
And-
not only that, it was it Dead Man that there was another incident?
He
Just a
had a
freak
heart
act,
attack
like,
in the door
Freak
during the
injury.
derby, and he died.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, everyone knows that it doesn't matter. Take Demolition Derby out of the equation. Life is a risk. Every
Yep.
day you wake up is a risk. But yeah, when you have a family, you gotta sometimes make. That's why I became kind of a pansy ass. I mean, like
It happens.
I used to just go balls to walls, but now I'll be hauling ass towards someone and be like, shit, I don't know if I want to take this hit, much less give it.
So the first year Brinley ever watched me is the year that Kendra got rolled in Heber and hauled off in the ambulance. And I'm sitting there lined up in my heat, and my daughter walks up to me and goes, "Don't get put in the ambulance, Dad." And I'm like, "Thanks, shithead." Like, that wasn't even in my thought process. And
Now
now it is.
Nate's pissing himself going through the gate. But no, I definitely think that Demolition Derby is just, I love it. I mean, I think that all of us here and anyone listening just loves it. We all know the risk. We all, we all know that injuries happen. We know that parts get damaged. I mean, destruction derby. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what it's called. But man, it's an addiction that I just can't get rid of. And
Well,
I think everyone feels that way.
I think I could quit driving and still be addicted to it just because of the people you meet
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah. I mean, guys, I don't know if you know this, but I've never drove. I've only
Yes,
rode.
I did know that. I think Justin told me that the other day.
I have only rode. it was just something that I could never afford to do. And I always had so many different irons in the fire. I mean, I used to sing in a band that was consuming every other weekend, if not every weekend. Plus racing. I was a crew chief for many, many years on circle track dirt cars and helping build and just doing everything in the shop, to everything I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So you got to figure the older I get, I'm pushing 50. And if I can go to like this, our schedule is stupid. Our schedule, Nathan.
Oh yeah. You said you're busy from this month all the way till the end of July.
Yeah. And then as soon as I get back from Utah, I got a show the next Friday, and then I've got one the next Saturday. So yeah, for the next 3 months, I have a derby pretty much every week.
One of my best friends is only driven like 3 times. It gives him bad anxiety. He doesn't really like that part of it, but
he loves the fabrication and turning a damn wrench.
He loves working on cars, and he goes to more derbies than I do. Doesn't miss the derby. He's on the berm. Like, he just loves demolition derby. He loves being a part of it. He loves the people. He just doesn't like the driving. And I think I know a lot of people. We've met a lot of people over the years. Like, you find a driver you like.
Yeah.
They probably have somebody that's never drove, but has helped them build 30 cars.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had Jared Melton help me for how many years, and he had never drove, and I finally gave him one of my cars, and he was able to go run.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Like, when I remember one year Tyson Shelley gave his father-in-law a car.
Yep, I remember that.
Got him out on the track, but the guy just.
Your dad.
Yeah, I got my dad on the track once. But
what?
Yeah.
You did?
He was 49 when he drove in his one and only derby.
And if you ask him, he kicked everybody's ass, I bet.
But if you ask me, he probably got his butt kicked. I don't really remember, but
I just remember somebody picking on him and Gus Adams going and helping him.
Yeah. But no, Demolition Derby's awesome. I mean, Derrick, we would have never met you without
Exactly.
Demolition Derby.
I can't tell you how many people I would not know in this world without this sport.
Yeah.
Very close friends. Guys that would do anything for you, and vice versa. Just great support from everything, no matter if we were doing a podcast or not.
Yeah.
I announced so many derbies throughout the year that, I try to tell everybody, if you're going to come up and talk to me, introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to call you Bud or dude or whatever.
You know how many times I have someone come up like, "Hey, Brad, blah 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 blah," and you're just like, I have no idea who you are, and or if I just pass them in the pits.
Well, and you feel like a dick.
You do. You feel like a big dick because you're just like, if they know me, I should know them, and I should know who they are, and I just feel bad because I love talking to people. It's one of my best and worst traits.
That's definitely one of his best and worst traits.
So, well, Derrick, we've got to wrap up, but why don't you take a minute or two and tell people about HardNose Derby Podcast? If you guys don't know, Derrick and one of his buddies run a podcast that usually air on Thursdays. But tell them a little bit how you got started and what your guys' goal is and what audience you guys try to capture.
Well, when we started doing this, we were actually promoting derbies. We realized that we didn't want to keep doing it. I was tired of all the bullshit. I've always kind of kept to myself to the point I always kept my cool. The last year I didn't keep my cool, but neither did Steven. So we kind of stepped away from the promoting side and really tried to push the podcast. It launches every Thursday morning, roughly 5:00 a.m. I think this is 154 or 5 episodes that we've never missed a week. Correct. We actually had 10 originals. That was Steven and myself and one other guy, and we did 10 episodes, and he decided he was going to be done with Derby and all together, promoting podcasts and all of it. So we kind of had to revamp redo some equipment. So we did miss like a month
Yeah.
before, but
You
we
had
had to
10
set
episodes to play with.
correct. Those 10 were on a whole different platform. Same name, just kind of same, but different.
Yeah.
But once we launched this one with all of our stuff, we haven't missed an episode since. We're in 64 countries.
Holy shit.
Give props to you guys because Utah is the number three state of our listeners in the country.
That's awesome. Hey guys, we can do better than that. Let's get these guys to number one.
Number one.
If you listen on here, get on Thursdays and get on and listen to them as well. You guys really cover kind of coast to coast.
Yes.
We tried. We didn't start it that way. We were just kind of maybe going from the Midwest because there was a lot of shows like the T-Bone Memorial, which is actually coming up in Oskaloosa, Iowa. And then when I was with CJ Barnes building and going to shows, we were going to all the heavy stuff. You know, it was Blizzard Bash. It was the T-Bone, Spring X, you know, that type of stuff. And we just kind of started sitting there, and I was like, you know, guys, we can go to a lot more places. So we just started going. And we're in Nebraska at Cornhusker Chaos, and we were at Nebraska at the Border Wars and Spring X and King of Ohio, Utah State Fair. I mean, if it's a derby, I've probably been to it. If I haven't been to it, I've probably at least watched it on television.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, like, I mean, I feel like the original OG for the Derby podcast was probably Chris Marquette over at Crash Course. And I absolutely loved Chris and his team.
Yeah.
I felt like they did a really big part in bringing the nation together, you know. I mean, along with Blizzard Bash. I think Blizzard Bash,
I think
honestly,
the central hub of
that was one of the key staples to becoming national shows and bringing competitive demolition derby to the big stage. But I think Chris and Josh did a great job at putting it out there.
Yeah.
And when Chris and them stepped down, I was really kind of a sad deal because I thought they were a huge staple into the derby community. And then when you guys kind of took off, I thought that was you guys were filling a void that we were missing, and I think a lot of people appreciate that.
I've even had, you know, other, you know, big time show drivers said, you know, you guys have timed this perfect. Did you have this planned? I said, what do you mean? He's like, well, because Crash Course goes away and here you guys come. And I was like, I didn't know that Chris was going to be done. On the Crash Course side, I knew that Chris was kind of doing some of the pay-per-view stuff like Iron City Promotions stuff. That's just a little branch off of DerbyNation.tv. We filled a void, but it was completely by accident. It was just a couple dumbass rednecks in north central Missouri doing a podcast. I know a lot of people. He's very funny.
He is very funny.
So, you know, we work pretty good together. There's times like, you know, Brad said, like you and Ryan, you know, you butt heads. We kind of do, and then it's just right back to normal.
Well, that's how Ryan and I are. I mean, we don't agree, but we both know that what our goal is, and we're both working to the same goal.
Yeah.
Yep. My goal for this podcast is to be the biggest demolition derby podcast in the world. And it is, my goal is to have this for a full-time job where I don't have to have another job. That is my goal, and Steven is the exact same way. So, you know, if you get two equal minds on board to going to head in the right direction,
Yes,
you
sir.
know, sky's the limit.
You got to chase your dream.
That's awesome. I mean, so Nate and I reached out to these guys because we really enjoy what they're doing. We really like what they're doing.
We didn't want to step on any toes.
Yeah, we didn't want to step on any toes, but we wanted a little more spotlight on Utah.
Yeah.
Because we feel like, kind of what he said, we feel like that Midwest gets a lot of viewership. I feel like sometimes we sometimes get skipped. They go to that California a little bit and then kind of go back over towards Pennsylvania, all the way to Minnesota and stuff. But Nate and I just wanted to kind of it was a mixture of talking to some promoters around here that just were like, they weren't getting their information out.
Yeah.
And we're like, we need to help get this information out because the Midwest is literally like they kind of are in a sweet spot for drivers per capita.
Oh, yeah.
And Utah's struggling.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
some of these county fairs get 15 cars. And they're going to completely go away if the car count's not going. So that was kind of our goal. We wanted to try to help the promoters get the word out and then help the drivers figure out that they're actually having a show. The show's not next week because they never heard about it.
Yeah.
But then we also wanted to have fun with it. But we definitely, Nate and I, we've enjoyed doing this, but we're doing it for fun. These guys are doing it. They're trying to give you really good informative information across the country. They're fun to listen to. You guys get a lot of good information.
100%. I listened to it. I think the very first episode I ever listened to, you guys had, I want to say it was either Chance Ogden or Jared Johnson on. I can't remember which. It was the first year Brad and that had taken over Huber, and I haven't stopped listening.
Well, we had both of them on at one time because we're in Dalen Brown's shop.
Okay, maybe that's when it was.
So Chance and Jared actually drove from Delta and Richfield all the way to outside of New London, Missouri.
Crazy sons of bitches.
Helped Dalen do a trunk. Jared just showed him how, I guess, Dalen does his way of doing a trunk different than Dalen. So Dalen showed him some stuff on some frame differences that we do different than the Midwest than you guys do out west.
Oh, yeah.
Which is awesome because I'm here to tell you, I've learned a lot from going to the big shows and learning from other people. I built, probably 150 cars, and if you take 98% of the way I build is an idea from somebody else.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I come up with my own shit because usually people are one step ahead of me. And
a lot of the times, if you build 5 cars in a year, 3 of the 5 won't even be the same as the other 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you always want to try a little bit of something, where your all's rules are a little bit more open than ours are in this area. What was it, 2 years ago? You can have 03 with kickers and leaf pack. And I'm like, why in the hell do you think you need leaves on an 03? You are not going in reverse except pull it off the trailer. That's the only time you're going to go back. Or to pull out of somebody's core support.
Well, we took those away this year, and people are all fired up.
I don't think they need it. I understand why you guys did it, because, like I said, I've watched the last 3 years, so I know why you did it. I don't think them old irons need that much help, though.
Yeah, our goal for our rule package is we're trying to get more universal with like the country. Like there for a while, I'm pretty sure Utah and California were the only ones that were allowing 3x3 square tubing as bumper brackets.
Yeah.
And this is our first way.
Are you serious?
This is our first year of going away from the 3x3 bracket. I actually had somebody call last night and complain they just barely read the rules last night. And was like, why'd you do that? We've been doing it for years. And I said, you're right. We have been doing it for years. We've been planning on taking it away for 3 years. But as we're making this push to if you take like a gold rush set of rules in a sense, we're trying to kind of come this way a little bit as well as other promoters and stuff so that the rules, that's when we had the first conversation about the wheel man. Is trying to build more of like a unified set of rules, and that's kind of the direction we're headed in. Is just trying to get on par. But yeah, you could have an 03 or newer or a 9802 with a 3x3 square tubing 18 inches long until this year. So
if anybody listens that pays attention to your all's podcast, by the time you got it back all the way to the front tab, that meant your bumper bracket is going to go all the way to the front of the spring pockets.
Yep, and then
it never bent.
And then if you're not running a full cradle, you could put kickers right behind that.
So you could have them going to behind the spring pocket, or you could take them in front of the spring pocket.
Behind.
Jesus Christ! No wonder your shit always looks straight.
So we're changing the rules slowly, a little bit every year. Like we've already, we pretty much already know the big changes we want to make for next year. Obviously, we're waiting to see how this year's show rolls. But like the bumper bracket thing was actually supposed to get changed last year, but the big thing here for us was we were allowing kickers, but not full cradles, and everyone was scared of full cradles. That's a swear word here in Utah. So last year we wanted to introduce those into Utah, and so we basically said you could run the kickers or the cradle. If you run the kickers, you have to run a lower cradle. Otherwise, you get a full cradle without kickers. And when we did that, we decided we didn't want to open another can of worms with the bumper brackets last year. So we let it slide for another year. We're like, let's change a little bit at a time because we're not trying to ruin people's builds. We're not trying to piss people off. We're just trying to get on more of a united rule set kind of nationwide. I mean, I had a guy call me from Kansas that had ran Blizzard Bash and Bash for Cash, and he wanted to bring his Bash for Cash car out. Um, I'm teching for Juab, and he wanted to bring it out for Juab's Demolition Derby, and he wanted to know what he had to do to get it to fit in this rule set. And we're pretty close, but there's just slight changes. But that's kind of why we're trying to get closer so that these guys can come support our shows, or vice
Yes.
versa. We can take our cars and go support someone else's shows if we choose to.
Yeah, the 40-hour drive would suck, from Ohio to Utah, without a doubt. But as long as you guys are just doing the minute changes a little at a time, instead of like the drastic shit shows that are around here where people just want to change everything because they're afraid of a scary bumper, or, they're afraid of scary transmissions. That's yeah, roll that out the window and just do small changes, just like what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's not just a $200,000 payout. It's running in Heber, it's running in a packed stadium, and it's running for now 3 days of just get after it constantly.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good time. We definitely hope to see you there. Hopefully,
Oh, he'll be there. I'm picking his ass up from the airport.
that's good. We'll make sure.
We'll get you some Monacos lined up.
We'll make sure you have a good time. So
I'm game with that because I need a good time.
perfect. Well, we really appreciate your time. We definitely want to get you back on later in the year because I've really enjoyed this. Maybe even like after Heat or something, we get you back on and have you give us your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Yep, and I've already told you I got to get you guys on before Heber, so we'll get that lined up too. Since we have faces for radio and not television, ours will just be audio, such it was last year. So we'll definitely get you guys on before Heber as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
And remember, after you listen to this episode, tomorrow morning, wake up and crank on HardNose.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.
guys. Have a good one.
All right, later, guys.
See ya.
Thank you.